Number 3. I'm a female, and I was 21 at the time of this occurrence. Back in 2010, I was living at home with my mom. I used to stay up until 4 a.m. The only show that was on that was any good was Law & Order SVU. So it comes on, and I'm about to turn my light off when I hear a small noise from the front of my apartment. I shrug it off and continue to get ready for bed. At this point, I have no clothes on whatsoever because that's just how I sleep. Next thing I remember is hearing footsteps through the hallway and my doorknob jiggle. At first, I thought I was just hearing things. Then I hear my mom's door, which is right beside mine, close. I thought maybe she had gotten up to walk our dog, because he sometimes would wake her up in the middle of the night when he really had to go. Then it hits me. The footsteps are slow, and there's no lights on in my house. Had my mother gotten up, she would have switched on a lamp or something. I slowly peek my head out my door and take a step towards hers. I open her door to complete darkness. She's in bed, and it's obvious that she hasn't moved. I say her name, and all she says back is, "Go to your room." I'm a very curious person, and I told her to turn the light on. Now I know someone was in my house, and I wanted to know who. Again, she tells me to go back into my room. I had never been so frozen with fear. I put on clothes as I'm shaking, and I look for something to defend myself with. It's a girl's room, so I don't have shit. Next thing I hear is the bathroom door shut. It's across from both of our bedrooms, and then my mom yells at me to get into her room. I slam the door and lock it. She tells me to grab the phone and dial 911. Meanwhile, we can hear this person going back and forth from my room to the bathroom. We then hear him opening drawers and going through my things. The police show up about 45 seconds later. They come to the door, and the dispatcher I'm talking to says our door is locked. They are going to have to break it down unless we can come and unlock it. It dawns on me that this guy came through our front door because I never thought to lock it every time I came home. My mom runs to the door while this guy has locked himself in our bathroom. They go back there and break that door down with guns drawn. I'm freaking out because it all hit me at once that I was in danger. They cuff him and drag him outside. They ask me if I want to try and identify him. I had no idea who he was. They retrieved many things that he tried to steal, which is mostly cameras and old phones, etc. They take a report, and it's all over with. Come to find out, he was my neighbor's cousin. He had just been cheated on by his soon-to-be baby mama. So he went out and got high and decided to break into our place. I'm not so sure what he was thinking. So dude who broke into my house, let's never meet again. Asshole. Number 2.
This encounter happened right after New Year's of 2011 when I was 17 and a senior in high school. My parents had gone out of state to visit my grandparents, but I was taking a pretty rigorous course load and had exams and papers coming up, so I couldn't afford to miss the classes to go with them. I had never been allowed to stay home alone with both parents being gone for so long, never more than a couple of days, and my siblings were usually there as well. My parents were gone for 9 days, and the night before they returned, shit got real. Having always been a night owl, it was perfectly normal for me to be awake at odd hours, like 2 or 3 a.m., just as I was on the night in question. I was sitting on my bed, texting a good friend of mine and browsing the internet when our 3 Labradors started barking like crazy. My family lived on 10 acres in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee in a pretty wooded area, so I assumed they had just seen a deer or a raccoon or something. The dogs quieted down, so I didn't think anything of it for about 5 or so minutes. Then I heard something odd. It sounded like the window in the bedroom below mine opening. At first, I thought I was just tired and psyching myself out. That only lasted for a moment, however, because I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. The stairs were directly next to my room, with the stairwell opening up right next to the door of my bedroom. I reached over to my door, not making a sound, and I locked it. Afraid to make any kind of noise, I asked the friend I had been texting to call 911 because there was someone in my house. My bedroom was near the living room and kitchen, so I could hear this intruder trashing the place. They were pulling open drawers, cabinets, tearing open a trash bag and emptying it onto the floor. The 911 operators called my cell phone, but I was too afraid to answer. Thankfully, my friend stayed on the line with them and we answered all of their questions through him. I could hear the rustling slow down as the creeper moved a bit further from me into the living room. I heard steps retreat down the stairs again, and then silence. No dogs barking, no windows opening. About 40 minutes of sitting alone, scared, crying after the initial 911 call, the police finally arrived. They tapped on my bedroom window, which scared the daylights out of me. I walked to the front door and let them in. A detail that concerned me was when I let the police in, the security alarm started blaring. It had been armed the entire time. Another odd detail was that the window I had heard open was the only entrance to the house that didn't have an alarm sensor. Nothing was taken, just sorted through, and a few days later, one of the neighbors called the police for a similar incident. Truthfully, I don't know why my parents left me home alone because there had been a string of break-ins in the relative area in the weeks before. To my knowledge, there was never an arrest made in any of the cases.
Number 1. This story takes place one summer when I was 14. It was around 11 at night, and I was in my bedroom on my computer. I had just gotten home. I was living with my brother at the time because my parents were in Florida for a while. So me and my brother were the only ones home and the only ones who had access to the house. I needed a photo of myself or something. I don't remember what. I opened the camera roll to look through, and I saw this. Immediately, my whole body froze, and I couldn't move. I closed the camera roll and sat on my bed for a while. I started shaking, and tears of fright came into my eyes. I gained the courage to open the camera roll to look again. I stared at the photo for at least 10 minutes, feeling more uneasy every second. I checked the time that the picture was taken, and that made me even more distressed. The picture was taken at 9:45 p.m. What made it worse was that me and my brother both left the house at 8 to get dinner. No one was home at the time that this picture was taken. Afraid to leave my room, I picked up my phone and messaged my brother and told him that I was so scared that I couldn't move. He asked what was wrong, and I sent him the picture from my computer along with what happened. Him, thinking that it was a joke, laughed and told me good night. Me, not joking, I called him. He could obviously hear me crying and started questioning me. I told him to come into my room and he did so. He entered my room with a golf club for protection. At this point, we both were shitting our pants, staring at the blurry picture of the man we didn't recognize. We decided to go check out the house to see if anyone was home. We proceeded to sweep through all 4 floors of our house. We didn't see anything sketchy on the top 3. We walked down into the basement, with my brother leading the way. "Shit," he whispered. I looked to the back corner of our basement, where the cellar door that leads to the outside is. The door and the hatch thing that covers the steps to the outside were both wide open. After this happened, we called the police, and when they arrived, we showed them the picture. They told us to lock the doors and to call them if we heard or saw anything else. We locked the doors, and we both sat in my brother's room for the rest of the night. Whoever was in our house must have accidentally opened the camera function on the computer, which snapped a photo of him. I still wonder why someone would just break into the house and not take anything, because nothing was missing or out of place. My brother ended up moving out of the house a few days after, in fear of the guy coming back. Hey guys, Unit 522 here, and I want to thank you very much for watching my video. I would appreciate it very much if you would share, like, and comment. And if you're new to this channel, become one with the Unity by hitting the subscribe button. If you have a scary story or experience that you want featured on this channel, you can always send it to my email or post it on the Free Horror Stories subreddit. The links for those can be found in the description below. If you would like to help out this channel even more, consider a PayPal donation. And for more updates, be sure to follow me on Twitter. There's nothing wrong with a little darkness in your life, as long as you never forget there's always a reason to be afraid.